again. Welcome to Chaparral, and we are so glad that you're here on this incredibly special day today. Easter, Resurrection Sunday, we call it sometimes. To be honest, though, it's an interesting holiday. Even when I was growing up as a kid, Easter has always been kind of different, right? I mean, there's two really big Christian holidays. What are they? There's Easter and Christmas, right? So, and that's the thing, is that if you think about it, Christmas gets a whole lot more press, right? I mean, compared to Easter, doesn't it? We start preparing for Christmas when? July? Yeah, now, right? We start putting trees up in September, that kind of stuff. I mean, even music, we play Christmas music for months, and everyone gets in on it, right? Do you know there's a Twisted Sister Christmas album? And William Shatner has a Christmas album too, of all people, right? I mean, we gotta get into this thing. And in some ways, Christmas is kind of better, kind of. I mean, I hate to say that on Easter, but really, I mean, like, would you rather have Christmas cookies or Peeps? Or how about, like, candy canes at Christmas or hard-boiled eggs? You know, even like the gift-giving part of these two holidays, like Christmas, you get a tree and big presents, and they're wrapped, and they're pretty, and they're sparkly, and there's anticipation. They're there for a month. It's kind of cool. And you know where they're at. They're like right there under the tree. So you get up, and you go, where do you go? You go to the tree, tear them open. Easter, we hide the gifts. We have to go looking for them. And when we find them, we find stuff like a hollow chocolate bunny, or maybe like, heaven forbid, Cadbury eggs. Like, do they still make those things? Those are so gross. Anyway, sorry. And then you've got, at Christmas, all those TV shows and movies. Here's a little secret about my wife, Stacy. She is still, in April, watching Christmas movies. Ask her. It's true. She watches the cheesiest Christmas stuff all year long. So they're very, very different. And I think, by the way, we know why these two are so different. Christmas, really, when it comes down to it, is about the birth of a baby. I mean, yeah, it was hard. There's a long way to get there. They had to go through, Roman taxes, and they had to walk a long way to get there, and there's no room in the inn, and then the baby was born in a manger, all this stuff. But in the end, what do you get? A birthday party. I mean, it's a celebration. It's happy. When it comes to Easter, it's more difficult. Even you can use the word horrific to get here. To get here, we got to face abandonment, betrayal, denial, injustice, beatings, crucifixion, death, and all that was 3 days ago. It's right here. And the other part about it is we know those things. We face those things in everyday life, and so they get to be kind of personal to us. We have had friends who have abandoned us. We know what it feels like to be betrayed by somebody. We know, unfortunately, what pain is like and how it affects us and those around us. So the themes of Easter hit pretty close to home. And so we try to work with it. We try to make Easter happy. So we focus on springtime, pastel colors, little chocolate bunnies. We paint eggs. We try to think of happier things and new life. But it's hard to get around the fact that this holiday called Easter is really centered around someone's death. And the whole topic of death scares us, whether it's death itself or the process of getting there. Woody Allen once said, "I'm not afraid of death. I just don't want to be there when it happens." Right? Death kind of hits close to home, and we're forced to kind of face that. Now, there is a part of this celebration that we often overlook, and I don't want you to miss today. Easter is the greatest celebration, not because of something that happened 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem. It's not just about Jesus rising from the dead and walking out of a tomb. The greatest miracle of the resurrection and of Easter is that Jesus came back to you and me. He didn't have to. The resurrection celebration is not just about what Jesus came back from, but who he came back to. Don't miss that. He came back to people like us. He chose to come back to people like us. And we're the ones who made the cross part necessary. Like the disciples, we betrayed him time and again. We've abandoned him by what we do and don't do time and again. And yet, he still comes back to us, despite us having a hand in all this stuff. So don't miss this history-changing event, this world-shaping, reality-shaping event comes down to not what he came back from, but who he came back to, and that includes you and includes me. So let's go back just for a second and think about that. So let's go back to Jerusalem. 2,000 years ago, Jesus has died. He's been in the tomb for 3 days, and his friends, his disciples, watched him die. They're the ones that abandoned him in Gethsemane on Thursday. When the soldiers showed up, they took off, and they know it. And they're hiding. They're still hiding on Sunday morning. They're hiding because they think, you know what, maybe we're next. And so they're hiding out. And then we get this great story in Matthew's biography of Jesus. He says that 2 women, both named Mary, have the courage to get up on Sunday and go face those Roman guards who are guarding the tomb, to go there with this great courage to take care of their friend's body, their teacher. They're going to go there and check it out. When they get there, though, there's a huge earthquake. Huge earthquake. And this angel descends from heaven, goes to the stone in front of the tomb, and for all you CrossFitters out there, does a tire flip. Boop, right? Flips the rock over, tomb opens up, and these big, gnarly, tough Roman soldiers, their knees start knocking, and they fall down and they pass out. And there's this angel, the stone's moved, and 2 Marys standing there going like, what is going on? Now, do you think that they're afraid? Yeah, because the angel then says to them, don't be afraid. I know who you're looking for. You're looking for your friend Jesus. Well, you know what? He just left. You just missed him. He was just here, and like now he's gone. But he left you a note. So he digs in his pocket, and he pulls out a note, and it says, he has been raised from the dead, and he is going ahead of you to Galilee, and there you will see him. They're kind of like, whoa, this is crazy. This is like changing everything. And so they begin to head back to Jerusalem, into the city, and Jesus shows up. Maybe he couldn't wait to talk to him. Maybe he got excited. For whatever reason, Jesus shows up to them, stops them dead in their tracks. Okay, not the best metaphor for today, but he stops them, right? And then he says this, do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me. Okay, now, again, put yourself in the disciples' sandals, if you will, right? You're sitting there in this room, you're scared, you got your knees tucked up to you, you're kind of worried, and now these 2 Marys show up to you and say, hey, guess what, man? We saw an angel flip a stone, and some soldiers passed out, earthquake, Jesus is gone. It is awesome. And what are you thinking now? If that was you, hiding out in the upper room in Jerusalem, are you scared? Are you excited? Are you worried? Will Jesus be angry at you? Will he shake his head and like disappointment, like you left me, man? Where'd you go? I mean, what's going to happen now that he's back? Are you glad he's back? Are you afraid that he's back? And then you get a message. They say, hey, and Jesus has a message for you guys. The message is basically, we need to talk. But not now. I'll talk to you guys in Galilee, which is 90 miles away. Ever had that happen to you by maybe like a boss or a parent or a spouse? Hey, Frank, we need to talk. But not now. We'll talk later. Or you get a paper back right before spring break, and it says on the top, we need to talk about your work. Make an appointment after spring break. Gonna have a good spring break? Probably not. I hate that. Like, just tell me what you want to tell me now. But now these guys have to walk 90 miles from Jerusalem to Galilee, waiting to see what Jesus is going to say to them? What would you be thinking along the way if that was you? I don't know about you, but I'd be making excuses. Let's see, what can I tell him? Oh, Jesus, yeah, you know that whole leaving Gethsemane thing when I took off and the soldiers showed up? Yeah, I wasn't running scared. I got a text from my mom, and I had to go answer the text. Sorry. Oh, really what it was is I left the Last Supper uncovered, so I want to put it back in the refrigerator, so save it for tomorrow. I mean, what were they thinking, Because, they had to be just a little bit worried. But here's the bottom line. Jesus called him out. You didn't have to. He goes and says, I want to talk to you guys. Meet me in Galilee. I don't want you to stay hidden. I'm not going to let regret or failure define who you are. Instead, I want you to leave your hiding place, get up, and come meet me in Galilee. See, that's the unstoppable power of the resurrection. It gives us two big things, hope and freedom. And those two things, hope and freedom, are really personal things for us. We celebrate the resurrection not because it's a historical event, but because of the potential of bringing hope into our lives. It doesn't just change the world. Resurrection changes our world. There's a big difference in that. It doesn't just change the world as we know it. It changes our personal world. And our world today needs huge doses of hope and freedom. It does. It needs both, because those two go together. Hope and freedom, those two go together. If you don't have hope, if you're hopeless, does freedom really matter? If you let the news or health news or problems at work define you and you lose hope, your freedom is limited or doesn't even exist. Freedom cannot grow where there's no hope. At the same time, if you lack freedom, if you feel chained and weighed down, if you let your past haunt you, or bitterness, or envy, or jealousy, or hatred, or grudges, you let those things kind of weigh you down and chain you down so you have no freedom, where's hope? And hope is lost. So those two are needed together, hope and freedom. And Jesus brings both of those in huge doses to us at the resurrection. And because he wants to give those to you, not just in the future, right, but today. In John 10:10, he said this, I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. And hope and freedom, those two are unstoppable qualities that you and I can demonstrate in our world and to those around us. But it requires us to get up, dust ourselves off, put regret and shame and all that stuff behind us and go forward and join Jesus in Galilee. To face our past and recognize that we have hope and freedom in the future. So I want to take a step back to kind of capture this just for a minute. Before Jesus dies, in that week between him arriving in Jerusalem and the resurrection, in that week, there's two guys who want to meet Jesus. Now, Jesus had just raised Lazarus from the dead. He's super popular. People love him. Everybody's around him, crowding around him. And these two Greek guys want to talk to Jesus. Now, Greek is great. That's fine. They're Gentiles. They're outsiders. But Jesus talks to outsiders all the time. And in fact, maybe they're bringing in baklava. You like baklava? That'd be a great Easter thing instead of Cadbury eggs, right? For these two guys, we have baklava at Easter. That'd be awesome. Anyhow, these two guys want to go meet Jesus, right? But they think, look, we're outsiders, we're Greeks, we don't fit in here. So they think if they can go to a friend who can get them on the inside, right? So they go to a guy named Philip. Philip's from Bethsaida, who kind of is a Greek area, and they think, we'll go to Philip. Philip will get us backstage passes to see Jesus. So Philip hears him out, says, okay, sounds good to me. Thanks for the baklava. He goes over to Andrew. He says, Andrew, we got to help these guys out. And so Andrew then and Philip, they both go to Jesus and say, Jesus, there's these two Greek guys, and here it is. They want to see Jesus. This is what they ask. Sir, we just want to see Jesus. And again, Jesus will see people. I mean, he doesn't have outsiders in his life. He reached out to everybody, Greeks, Gentiles, Romans, Jewish folks, the lame, everybody. He reached out to everybody. So you'd expect Jesus to talk to these guys. But look at how he answers Philip and Andrew. John 12, verse 23. Jesus answered them, "The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified." I'm sure they're going, "Say what now? Like, this guy want to see you. What are you talking about?" Well, two things. Number one, go back one slide, Keith. That word Son of Man means human. That's all it means. He says, it's my time. For his whole ministry, Jesus has been saying to them, hey, it's not my time yet. The hour's not come. Not my time, not yet. And all of a sudden now, when these two Greek guys shows up, he says, now's the time. My time has come. This is it. And you kind of wonder, why is he saying this? Did they trigger something? And then he says, very truly I tell you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains just a single grain. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. And they're going, okay. Is this a yes or a no? Like, these guys want to see you. What are you talking about? Now, you got to wonder, I mean, are these two Greek guys farmers? And Jesus is giving them farming tips. Hey, you know, if a seed goes in the ground and dies, I mean, because this is kind of like basic 101 farming, right? It doesn't take a genius to figure this part of it out. Which, by the way, do you know how to tell if someone's a good farmer? If they are outstanding in their field, they're probably a good farmer. It's okay, it'll grow on you. You know what, just forget it. I'll just plow on ahead and just keep moving forward. I probably shouldn't combine so many farm jokes together in one. It's Easter. But here's the thing. Seeds are amazing, right? I mean, like, they really are. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, we don't think about it a lot because you don't do a lot of farming in Arizona, but seeds are pretty cool. Because you look at this little bitty tiny thing and you can't even tell what it is. Like, pumpkin seeds don't look like pumpkins, right? Carrot seeds aren't orange, or roses aren't red. I mean, but there's these little, like, bits of stagnant life just kind of waiting for something to happen, waiting to be put in the ground, and then something will come out. Ever as a kid, ever just plant a seed wondering what it was? We did that. We just like plant a seed and like, what is it? Oh, it's tomato. That's pretty cool, right? We just didn't know. But when you put it in the ground, something miraculous happens. This seed takes whatever's around it, water, earth, elements, nitrogen, all that stuff, and turns it into something different. A flower, a vegetable, whatever. It turns into something that you wouldn't expect, but it's miraculous in what it can do. It's unstoppable too. Seeds are unstoppable. In fact, one of my favorite stories is about a mosaic in Israel. So just south of where Jesus grew up in Nazareth, so here's Nazareth, just south of that is a town being built called Sepphoris or Sepphoris. And it was being built about the time Jesus was growing up. So some think Jesus helped build this city, potentially. Now, here's the thing. This is a brand new, state-of-the-art, beautiful Greek city. And they had these mosaics in the floors of a lot of the buildings. And this one here is called the Mona Lisa of the Galilee. It's made of stones. It's not a painting. These are not painted stones. Every single stone is a different color. It's just absolutely gorgeous as far as a mosaic goes. Very intricate, very beautiful. And so when archaeologists first found the Mona Lisa of the Galilee, you know what they did? They said, this is awesome. This is so beautiful. I wonder what the colors are like. So what'd they do? You want to guess? They put water on it. They poured water, right, from their water bottles and just kind of wiped it off to see. What happened 3 days later? Seeds grew from underneath it and threatened to ruin it. 2,000-year-old seeds began to grow under that. So they took it out. They actually lifted it out of the ground, took it to Jerusalem, fixed it, and put it back where it goes. But it's an amazing story. And it kind of shows the power about seeds and how unstoppable they are. Jesus here in John isn't talking about seeds. He's talking about himself. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies. It remains a single seed. You guys want to see me. Well, things are about to change. What you see now, he says, is a seed. And that's going to change in a powerful, meaningful way. It's going to change how you see me, how you see yourself, how you see everything. And so he uses this image of planting seeds to do that. And he says, too, that this is part of the plan. This isn't something that's unexpected that's going to happen. This is part of my plan. I am choosing to do this. A farmer puts a seed in the ground for a reason. And so does Jesus. John 10:18. He says, no one takes my life from me, but I lay it down on my own accord. I have the power to lay it down. I have the power to take it up again. This was not unexpected. He says, I am choosing to plant this seed of my life for you. Is it going to be easy? No, not at all. In fact, just a little bit after the story of these two Greek guys, Jesus says this in John 12. Now my soul is troubled. And what should I say? Father, save me from this hour? No. It is for this reason I have come to this hour. This was his choice. He chose to do this to bring us hope and freedom for today. And so this moment is going to change how they see him, how they see each other, how they see the world. This seed of Jesus' life is going to become something completely different. And it's going to change them. The next verse, he says, those who love their life will lose it. And those who hate their life in this world will keep it for eternal life. Whoever serves me must follow me, and where I am, there will my servant be also. Whoever serves me, the Father will honor. He says, all right, great. You want to see me? You want to see Jesus? Then guess what? You need to follow me. Because where I am, there you will be. You want to see me? You got to be a servant. You want to see me? You got to follow me. It's not going to be this thing where you can just be a spectator. You can't just sit in the upper room, hiding out, getting reports from what's going on. You got to be there. Because what's going to change is everything. It's going to change you from the inside out. See, before this moment, life was a dead end, right? Everyone who lived till this moment went through life and got to the end of their life, and what did they find? A wall. It said no exit. End. Done. Jesus got to that point, to that wall. You know what he did? Kicked a hole through it. Where there was a wall, he made a doorway. Walked through it, reaches back and says, you coming? You gonna come with me? Because here's the thing. When he planted that seed of his life, it became unstoppable. Where there was a 6-foot hole in the ground is now hope. Where there was fear of death is now freedom from death. So Jesus says, do you love your life right now in this world? You better get all you can. That's all you're going to get. But there's a different life after this world. Follow me, and you're going to find it. A life of hope, a life of freedom that starts today. But you got to go to Galilee. You got to go to Galilee to see Jesus. You have to go to Galilee to serve, to follow. So the disciples, let's go back to them for a second. They make that 90-mile trip from Jerusalem to Galilee. They make that trip. They go to Galilee. And when they get there, guess what they do? They see Jesus on a mountain in Galilee. And he has something that he wants to say to them, and I think you're going to want to hear it. He says this, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go, therefore, make disciples of all nations. You know, he shows up. What was a seed now has all authority in heaven and earth. You report directly to the most important person in the world, in all the universe. You have a direct link to Jesus. You report to him and him alone, period. All authority in heaven and earth has been given to him, and you report to him. And when he looks at these guys, looks at you and me, he doesn't say, oh man, where were you in Gethsemane? What happened to you guys? He doesn't go through their mistakes or shake his head in disappointment. You know what he does? He gives them a mission. He says, I came back to you guys because I got work for you to do. Forget the past. You showed up here. Let's get to work. I don't want you to stay where you're at. I want you to move forward. So go and grow. And then he goes on. He says, go and baptize other folks who need to hear this great news. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything that I have commanded you. And here's the best part. He says, and remember, I am with you always to the end of the age. I am with you always. If you want to see Jesus, you follow him to Galilee. If you want to see Jesus, you serve him. Because he says, where my servant is, I'm going to be there. You're not going to go alone. Your future is secure because I'm going to be with you in all of it. So that no situation is so dark, no circumstance is so bleak, no life is too far gone, no soul too lost, no sin too deep, no problem too large, no circumstance so hopeless that Jesus can't show up, plant the seed of hope and freedom in you, and it grow into something amazing for the world. He makes that kind of difference in you. He gives us hope and freedom growing up inside of who we are. And that changes everything. It's unstoppable in our lives. There was these two men, Wilson and Tom, and both were really, really ill, seriously ill, and they're in the hospital. And in the room, there was one window on one side, and Wilson was toward the window, Tom was away from the window, and they get to know it. They're just in these beds. There's no TV, no radio, no iPad, no nothing. Just two guys in a room, sick. So they talked. They told stories about their lives, their kids, their grandkids, playing baseball, just all kinds of stuff. They just talked and shared stories. Well, after a while, those stories kind of ran out. And, well, every day, Wilson had to be treated. So they'd sit him up, and he could see out the window. And so what he would do is he would tell Tom what he saw. Oh, man, there's a cool lake, and there's little boats on it today. Really neat. Oh, there's a baseball game with some kids are playing. Extra innings, man, having a great time. And he would tell Tom what was going on outside the window of his room. And Tom loved those stories because it kind of gave him this glimpse, this hope of the outside world, the freedom beyond that wall. But as time went on, Tom got jealous of Wilson's ability to see out that window 1 hour a day. Kind of got a little bitter about it. He let that kind of grow inside of him. Until one day, Wilson passed. Wilson died. And Tom knew he should be sad that his friend died, but he's also kind of happy because now he gets to sit next to the window. He gets to see out it. And so they did. They moved him over. And when he moved over to that window, he tried really hard, and he grabbed a hold, and he pulled himself up with all of his might, and he looked out the window because he wanted to see for himself that kind of hope that Wilson saw. So he pulls himself up, and he looks out the window. You know what he sees? A brick wall. Just a brick wall. The point was that Wilson had hope, and he shared that hope with Tom. Jesus showed up. He came back from the dead, and he came back to you and to me. And he came back to bring us hope and freedom that we then are to share with the world around us. To show them the hope that lives in us, that's growing up inside of us. And the freedom that we have to live because our future is secure. Because he came back to you and me. On Friday, our Savior was displayed on a criminal's cross. Darkness rejoiced as though heaven had lost. But then Jesus arose with our freedom in hand. That's when death was arrested, and my life, my hope began. Let's pray.